Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Deal Structure Sunday. I am Zach Beats, CEO of Smart Real Estate Coach, and we use this Sunday to share with you deals in which either we've been personally doing as a family or our current Wicked Smart community member has done. We only focus this channel on creative financing. So we're going to be talking about lease options, or we call them lease purchases, or sandwich leases. We're going to talk about owner financing or subject to deals. Or today we're going to talk about our fourth and final strategy, which is known as an assign out. And we'll dive into the nuances of an assign out. And also when I bring up one of our high stakes associates, he's part of our community. We lock arms with and do deals with, actually local to me, not too far, about a stone's throw, 30 minutes down the road here in Massachusetts. We're going to walk through the decision-making process, too, about why he and the seller that he's bought the property from decided to go that specific route. There's a major question that we consistently get asked is, all right, if you can buy properties almost 4 different ways, then how do you decide which way to buy it? So we'll dive into that as well. And then we'll also talk about some of the projected profits as this property is currently on the market. We'd like to have deals that have closed either through our rent-to-own program or have actually gone all the way to the finish line where our rent-to-own buyer has purchased the property, or the ones that we're currently marketing, so that way you can see the different aspects of the deal throughout that process. So welcome to another Deal Structure Sunday. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button so that way you get notified. We produce 3 videos every single week: Thursday Q&As, Motivational Mondays, and the most famous Deal Structure Sundays. We've been doing it for like 3 years now. So tap in. And let me bring up today our good friend, John B. Clarke. How are you today, sir?
I'm well. How are you, Zach?
I am excellent. I'm excellent. Now, I know that we've done another Deal Structure Sunday. I don't know if it got posted before this one or this one's going to be posted. So I do want to make sure we do, cover a little bit of your story here as well. And then we can always refer them back to another one of the deal structure videos, as you'll be on many more times throughout the course of the next couple of years as well. So, John, if you could maybe just talk about, who you are, what you do in a day-to-day, if you have a family, just a little bit more about you, and then we'll talk about your journey here into Smart Real Estate Coach.
Yeah, so my name, as Zach said, is John Clarke, and I work full-time for a group of churches overseeing their business operations, so HR, finance, legal, that kind of stuff. It's 5 churches and a missions org. I am married and we have 4 kids. Actually, next year we celebrate 25 years.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And then do you want me to get into how I found Smart Real Estate Coach?
Yeah.
Okay. So quickly, I started to get into real estate, interested in real estate, I should say. I wasn't really into it yet. But I was listening to a different podcast that Prefontaine was actually part of, and I actually wound up reading the transcript because the kids were going crazy in the background. It sounded interesting to me when he started talking about, buying houses without putting your own credit on the line or your own cash. I thought that sounds way too good to be true. So I did some research. I got their books. Chris and Zach and the team have published a couple books. I read those. I looked up reviews and there was nothing but positive things to say. So I booked a strategy call and then jumped in as an immersion, went to the first event after that. Was about a month after I registered in September, QLS Live, and then I upgraded to high 6 from there and been making dials since. And it took me about 14 and a half months to my first deal, which I know is on the longer end.
Sure.
But I had some mindset stuff, I think, to work through. And I'm, like Zach said, I've got many more coming now.
No, I love it. I love it. Cover a couple of things. So John has talked about a couple of the different ways that we work with people. And also throughout like an advisory session, or we call a strategy session. So we'll go ahead and throw a link in as well. So if you do have an interest of like working with us and buying and selling real estate with us, and us really showing you the pathway from either solopreneur, from zero real estate deals, or to add this to your current real estate model, just go to smartrealestatecoach.com/action. And then we can also dive into the different ways that we work with you as well. And then John also brought up a couple of things. So we have a genius model. It's called, or our genius model. It really consists of 3 things. mindset, skill set, and systems. So that's what we consistently work on with all of our members of our community to really make sure the mindset, which is about 80%, and then we can work on the skill sets and then the systems. That's why we see people we'll see people come in and do a deal within 2 weeks, and then others like John takes up to 14 months. Hey, I was right in the middle. It took me 6 months to get my first deal done, and I had 2 real estate investors and real estate experts next to me in the office. So it all takes every person individually a certain amount of time in order for things to click. So if I gave an average, it's roughly 150 to 180 days time to first deal is what we call it here in the community as well. So thanks for sharing that, John. Across the board, that's super helpful. I asked a couple of the other people that have been on the Deal Structure Sunday videos as well, because I'm kind of curious. I've been kind of going down this journey because we have many different people of many different backgrounds that then come into our community. Now, there's some connection to it, but I'm curious if your skill sets that you have in your current business, how do those translate to your real estate investment business, if any?
Gosh, that's good. That's a good question. So I also have a legal background. I'm a lawyer also. So I would say some of the biggest ways that I think translates to this is I think I understand the contracts a little bit more. But then, I mean, with any job, there's perseverance, there's dealing with people. I on a daily basis deal with a lot of people, so I'm a little more comfortable. It took me a while to get comfortable with making cold calls, but I'm a little more comfortable actually talking to a stranger. So that for sure translated too. And then obviously there's administrative stuff that translates.
Sure. Yeah, John, I was actually surprised when you originally told me you oversaw a bunch of churches, because you do definitely give me more of that attorney vibe. I mean, you have the attorney look and everything. Very Ivy League school, especially with your John B. Clarke name as well, which is absolutely terrific. I love it. I
did not go to an Ivy League school though.
Oh no! All right, fair enough.
I went to New England School of Law, which is 4th tier.
Okay, well, we won't tell anyone. Just everyone that's listening to this YouTube video.
Just between you and me, Zach.
Exactly. Awesome. Another interesting thing too, and then we're going to dive in this deal, is we've had students or people that have gone through our program, and some of them that have gone through some of our lower tier programs as well, be from the Massachusetts area, which Chris, myself, Nick, I mean, we've been doing deals here for creative finance deals for over 10 years. And then, of course, other deals for almost 30 with Chris's experience. And not all of them have seen success. And then you show up, and then I know it took you 14 months, but now you are doing deals not only in Massachusetts, but in some of the what people consider the hotter areas of Massachusetts. It's right outside of Boston, not rural Western Massachusetts, but right outside of Boston. So if you have any thoughts on why you've been able to see success in that market when others haven't, that could kind of give you a little feedback, and then we'll dive into the deal.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing special about me, really. I've leaned on the coaches. You guys getting in the trenches with us is obviously key. Me actually remembering to pull in my coaches when I have questions or I can't answer something, getting them to talk to the seller also lends credibility to myself. But I mean, perseverance. You guys constantly talk about give it 3 years, stick with it 3 years. And that's hard, especially in the beginning when you're not seeing results. But I just have in my head, if I can give this 3 years, I know I'll see results.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, that is the key, right? It's constantly putting in the work consistently. We had Kyle Smith on this Deal Structure Sunday, and he was a professional, actually motorcycle person on top of being motocross, on top of being a firefighter, and he called it seat time. And really, I think that's what really comes about is eventually you spend enough time being an entrepreneur, working the business, that things eventually start to click. And as long as you don't give up, there is going to be that time. And that's exactly what you brought to the table consistently, along with, thinking outside the box and really being, a great resource for these sellers. So you're doing an amazing job so far. I love it. All right, let's dive into this deal, and then maybe we can walk through this process. So this deal is actually located in Dorchester, Massachusetts, so right outside of Boston. Walk us through this process. Where did you find the seller? Was it you made the first call? Did your coach make the first call? Like, walk us through the process, and then we'll talk about the deal structure.
Yeah, so I found the seller through the expired list. So properties that come off the market, either canceled, withdrawn, or expired. This one was expired. She couldn't sell it. I made the first call. And then it wound up being that there were some things that she was wanting that we couldn't do with the lease purchase or seller financing. And so we wound up pivoting to the assign out.
God, so walk us through because that is a major thing when it comes to structuring deals, right? When it comes to creative financing, is there's so many different ways in which you can maneuver these deals. So maybe walk us through like a couple of those things, just in case somebody that's watching this video comes across that and they understand why you pivoted from sandwich leases. So there's plenty of videos, and I'll give a brief description, but please spend time on our YouTube channel. If you look up like what's a lease purchase, or what's subject to deal, what's owner financing in our channel, you'll be able to pull those up. The two ways in which that John was walking through this deal, where could I do a lease purchase where I go ahead and agree upon a specific price, agree upon a specific time frame or the option I have on the property, and then take over any and all responsibilities of this property, and then eventually cash out the seller. And the sandwich comes because you have a lease purchase agreement, then you're going to go sell on a rent to own or a lease purchase with a buyer, which you're sandwiched between the two agreements. The other way in which this deal ended up actually panning out was an assign out, which means that he did the exact same thing on the front end. He agreed to a certain price, a certain time frame, and a certain monthly payment. But then when he goes and finds his buyer, he's going to simply assign that buyer to the seller and step out of the deal, and then now acquire a part of and create some profits in the process as well. So maybe tell us a couple of the things that triggered you that said, hey, I'm going to go with the assign out versus the lease purchase.
Yeah, so this is where in the beginning I was shying away from some of these things. And again, just being in the community and having these coaches, the coaches encouraged me, get them involved when I'm stumped. And so she wanted a high rental price for the property because she's used to high cash flow. This is a property that the owner rents out. She wanted I can't remember, I think it was $50,000 minimum down payment. And then there was a third thing. Oh, she was used to cash flow.
Yeah.
And so because she has real estate experience and wanted those things and they were non-negotiable for her, my coach Steve helped transition us to the AO with this deal.
Yeah, because when you're having a conversation with the seller, all right, if a couple reasons right off the top of my head on why you would go with an assign out versus a sandwich, and that is too high of a purchase price, right? Too high of a monthly payment, or a large down payment. And also if the seller wants full control over the deal, right? Because you can give them some of the terms, but the deal has to also make financially sense for you as the buyer of this deal. So it's like, okay, conversation now pivots and you say, all right, well, what happens if I could get you your price? What happens if I could get you part of a non-refundable deposit? What happens if I could potentially get you your cash flow and get you cashed out in a short period of time and place a buyer in the house so you don't have to be a landlord anymore? Most sellers, especially if they were unable to sell in the traditional market, are very open to that type of concept because they get the control of it, especially if they've been in real estate investing before. Love it. Okay. Any other, if I can remember too, didn't the seller also like rent by the room? So I'm curious, is that accurate? I'm curious on how you guys are handling, working with tenants and showing the property as well. Has that been a challenge, or has that not been a challenge?
Basically, she just asked us to go through her for showings. And she's very responsive, so we just go through her. She contacts the tenants, and then the tenants are pretty good about letting people in for showings. And the tenants are also in this specific instance, they're month to month. And
Got
so
it.
she essentially told them, she also is a realtor.
Yeah.
She'll help them find a new place should we put this under contract.
Got it. Okay. Very good. Okay. Let's dive in the deal then. So this is a sign out deal, expired listing. I know we've gone over like all these details. So you bought the house for roughly what did you agree upon with the seller for a purchase price?
685.
Okay, 685, and then now you're on the rent to own market for 750. Is that accurate?
Yes,
Okay. And you guys agreed to split what we expect to get is roughly 10% down, split the non-refundable deposit. Is that accurate?
that is accurate. Yes.
Okay. I like to always ask this question because we used to have this competition back in the day with some of our members of our community. And that was we all tried to see what the lowest amount of split we could give to the seller. And we had this gentleman that actually many times didn't give the seller any of the non-refundable deposit. So I'm just curious on like how that conversation went. And 50-50 split is more than fair. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a great deal. So I'm just curious on how you guys arrived at 50-50, or was that even part of the conversation?
It was not part of the conversation, and part of the reasoning going into it was that she wanted such a high down payment of 50,000 minimum.
Yep.
But also, Steve and I, when we were talking, we just thought, I need deals.
Yeah.
And so let's just go with 50-50 and not try to go with something that's A, going to get her less money, and B, be more likely for her to say no.
Yeah. No, mate, you trying to build momentum, right?
Exactly.
And get the best deal that you can at the stage of your business that you're at. So, okay. Well, the super positive news is, right, you actually got her to take $37,000 versus 50. So you pull off another 12, you got her down $12,000.
Right.
So I think it always translates well with the seller when you say, hey, we'll just get you a 50-50. It seems super fair. So usually don't get much pushback. Okay, so the projected profit on this deal, I know it's currently on the market. We should get this thing cashed out relatively soon, and it's $37,500 with a very risk-averse technique because John's going to collect that non-refundable deposit, assign the buyer to the seller, and get a release from both of them, and he's completely out of the deal now. I can move on to his next deal. So I'm curious, any takeaways on this particular deal? Is there like something that as you like went through this deal, you're like, hey, it could be nothing. I'm going to now translate this to my business, or it was a good lesson learned and now I speak to sellers differently. Is there any takeaways that you had from this deal in particular?
Yeah, I mean, this is funny to say, but honestly, my biggest takeaway with her was just, and Steve has been encouraging me to do this, but be myself. Not try to basically not try to emulate Steve or Chris or you, Zach, or one of the other coaches, but actually be me with these sellers, and that they're either going to like me and want to do a deal with me or not, and then they'll maybe do a deal with one of our other associates in the area. But there's not having a scarcity mindset, but an abundance mindset, and knowing there are plenty of deals out there.
Yeah, see, I love that takeaway because we've all gone through it. I mean, it's been almost 10 years for me now since my first deal. But we all go through it, right? We have a mentor, we learn, we mimic and mirror that particular mentor for a period of time. Just like we wrote up all of our scripts. It's like follow the script until you know the script, then make it your own. And then that's usually when, you start pulling in a ton of deals because now you're coming off authentic. When it comes to your deals and your problem solving, and you're not just trying to copy somebody else. And that's usually when it pops. So my guess was right around that 14-month mark, you were really able to internalize it and now able to solve people's problems, confident enough to know your worth and the value you bring. And that's usually when you start to really, really bring on those deals.
Yeah, it's funny, it took me a while, and actually asking the, now looking back, stupid question of, can I customize these scripts as long as I get the information I'm supposed to? Can I say it my way? And literally every one of you coaches saying, yes, please do.
Yeah,
So
100%.
yeah, it definitely felt more comfortable when it was in my words. But again, still, you need to still get the what, when, why.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's been amazing to see you grow, John. You done an amazing job. Thanks for stepping away from your day job in order to get this Deal Structure Sunday out there to each and every one of our subscribers. If you have not subscribed yet to our YouTube channel, we produce Deal Structure Sundays every single Sunday, or it's deals that we've personally done or members of our community that we're doing the deals with them. So we bring in the details that we know where to find these deals, how to think through the deals, how to structure the deals, and how to go ahead and exit and the potential profits that you can make as well. So go ahead and click that subscribe button as well. Everybody have a fantastic Sunday, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Goodbye.